What if I don't want to die?
Then you shouldn't have been born.
Favorite films, Down of the Living Dead you got there behind you.
Thank you, Corin. How you doing today?
Yeah, good, thanks. Nice to see you. You
And
look
how
like
you doing, Sophie?
you're in a cupboard.
Kinda. It's like a little room. I just created it. But I gotta tell you, I saw Whistle and wow, I was not expecting how this movie was coming out, but I was totally floored in such a good way 'cause I love
Yeah.
these type of movies. So
Thank you, man.
congratulations to both of you on this movie. I mean, very exciting.
Very happy to hear. You're joined also by the whistle today. So,
Nice. So my first question is for you, Corin. How did you get inspired to take on the directing this film?
well, I'm always trying to look for inspiration when I'm directing and I'm creating my own projects and working on different projects and different films and different genres. And when this one came my way, Owen Edgerton's script, it ticked a lot of boxes of what I look for in terms of a mythology that I haven't seen before, a cursed object based on a real object of an Aztec death whistle, and seeing the movie based around that. And just in the horror genre where we've seen virtually almost everything out there, I was surprised to have not seen a movie called Whistle yet. That, when you blow it and if you're unlucky enough to hear it, it calls upon your future death to hunt you down. And I felt that was a sort of like powerful, simple, and quite sort of profound mythology, combined with this very kind of well-written group of characters and this teenage high school angst and this sort of romantic love story. There's the undercurrent of the story with Sophie's character, Ellie, and Daphne's character, Chris. So that all attracted me to it, as well as this license to go completely bonkers with these death sequences.
That's awesome. Well, Sophie, the next question's for you. You shared, of course, you get to share the screen with Daphne Keane, and everyone, a lot of people know her from the Deadpool and the Wolverine, and Logan. What was it like working with Daphne in terms of your chemistry?
I mean, we bonded very quickly. We were so close. I think we obviously trauma bonded a little because of like just the thematics of the film and undergoing all that we had to undergo. But I think we just shared a very similar sense of humor, which was very came in handy for this specific role because I think we did need to keep some lightness on set. And yeah, we just became we became close. We shared almost every moment together. And then we also became really good friends with Ali, who played Grace, and we ended up all going on a trip together in Spain after the movie was wrapped. And yeah, I'm just very proud to say that these people are still my friends to this day.
That's awesome. So, Corin, I got a little question here. There's this one scene where Rel is dressed up in this costume, and I remember vividly, like about a decade ago, you were going to do a Crow movie with Jason Momoa. I remember that. It looked amazing. I mean, when I saw the early shots of Jason Momoa and you, and he had the makeup on, it looked awesome.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you.
was wondering if that particular scene was inspired by what you were intending to vision as the Crow with your
Well,
version of it.
well observed of you, to sort of connect those things. Obviously it's not that's not the Crow, but it was
Right.
Rel's Rel's a comic book nerd who was very kind of I was able to identify with his character very closely from my own sort of childhood and being obsessed with kind of comic books and horror movies and music and dressing up as my favorite superheroes and the Crow. So when designing the character from comics that Rel would be sort of obsessed with, I definitely kind of drew upon inspirations and combined sort of ideas of Crow and Punisher and other characters to sort of create the Revenger, which is his made up idol. That we also it was sort of really nice the way it's incorporated in the story because it's not just sort of just on a comic. It's a character that he sort of idolizes and fantasizes about and eventually dresses up as when he goes to the Harvest Festival in a homemade costume and then and sort of becomes as his arc kind of gets more tragic in a way and he sort of has to almost embody this character. So Sky Yang was just a fantastic brilliant actor who embodied Rel and managed to kind of capture a lot of, my own sort of teenage years in him somehow. And that incorporated the crow. And when he was sitting on top of the building at night with rain and the blood rain falling down around him, there was definitely a kind of good moment of you can sort of see a little bit of what might have been the crow.
That's awesome. Well, and my last question is for your in terms of the death scenes in the film, I'm not gonna spoil who dies how, but what would you say what was it like shooting the death scenes on this film for both of you? Or
Why don't Sophie you start?
Well, for me, it was fun because a lot of the effects were actually quite tangible. Often nowadays everything is shot in post, and we had the luck to be able to do a lot of the visual effects practically on set. And that just made it so visually much more empowering for us as actors to have something to react off of and to play off of, and gave us a better idea of the vision that Corin had for these deaths, which were actually very poetic, in my opinion.
that's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean it was exciting and challenging, when you have to pull off a number of I wanted them all to be their own kind of set piece and their own sequence and involve different kind of tensions and different payoffs and different shocks and scares and visually to be tied into what your fate is. And so it was a very creative process involving a huge collaboration of all the different crew and heads of department, from costume to props to special effects, practical effects, prosthetics, animatronics, stunts, production design, and visual effects. And so they all involve a different aspect, like percentage of all those techniques, and with the actors sort of portraying them and being in prosthetics and a lot of sleight of hand and like magic to create that final illusion.
That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna say this. When it comes to indie horror films, this is definitely a great start for this year. Everyone, you gotta check out Whistle on February 6th, exclusively in theaters.
Yeah,
Corin and Sophie, it's been a pleasure to talk to you guys.
you too,
And as
Albert.
always, you guys stay awesome.
You too. Thank you, man.
All right.